Welcome to the Improviding Life Podcast, where we explore how life can be more livable. This is Lloyd Crawford, your host, and we are here for part 2 of Adulting on Your Own Terms. And for this episode, we're going to build upon what we did last episode with really talking and identifying about adulting on your own terms. What were you told and shown adulting was? How does that sort of transpose or not transpose onto your reality of what you're experiencing? And so today we're going to be looking at how do we actually do the refresh? How do we reconfigure what adulting means for us and what it looks like for us and how we're practicing it and how we're modeling it for those around us, especially those that we are caregivers for. And so the first and most important thing to ask, right, is do you believe an ideal day is possible? So I'll pause for a moment for you to allow the first thought to come through. What is your first thought? Is an ideal day possible? And after acknowledging that first thought, let's go a few layers deeper. We're going to do the Improviding Tool 3 of A to C. What other thoughts come through? So let's say your first thought is, no, that's not practical. Maybe your next thought is, well, what if it didn't have to be practical because this is an ideal day? Maybe your next thought is, oh, well, I'd be really productive that day. And then you can ask yourself, well, why does productivity have to be a part of my ideal day? What if I'm really dreaming beyond the confines of what I experience right now or what I've been told? Like, what does that layer of a response look and feel like? And so from that point, whatever, let's say your third or fourth thought is, we're going to spend some time teasing that idea out right now. So an ideal day, right, is going to be, for this exercise, build upon the foundation of what your self-defined idea of an adult and of adulting is, right? So perhaps adulting to you is being responsible for like only what should be on your plate, right? Saying no to the things that don't need to be there. And then being really intentional about how you use the rest of your time and energy that you have accessible because you don't have all those extra things, right? So an ideal day for you might look like you have slow mornings, that you go to the park and watch people, paddle boating out, into the lake. So apparently this ideal person in my mind lives near water. And so after that, you're going to your favorite cafe and you're sitting in the corner doing some people watching while you get ready to do like a deep focus, couple hours of, work on a project you're excited about. And then you have a social function with friends before coming home and couch potatoing with your favorite show, right? That can be an example of an ideal day. So go ahead and pause this episode if needed, but you're going to sit with what came through of whether an ideal day is even possible, and then start to just populate with ideas of things, right? This is not about getting it perfect. It's about seeing what comes up, because often our ideal day seems so grandiose or far away, but in reality, there's probably aspects that you could be doing now. So perhaps you don't have access to everything on that list, but perhaps you do live near a park, and 2 or 3 times a week you can start going to the park and walking along the water, right? That's how you're able to start dabbling in that ideal day energy and seeing how aspects of it are closer than what it might seem. And in doing that and practicing those sort of microdosing of your ideal day, while you're, having this intellectual and embodiment practice or conversation with changing your definition of adulting, it all becomes more available to you because you're having a relationship with it. And so the next thing that I want to be sharing out on is like how important it is to transition this idea of like a vision board, right? Where like everything has to be so curated. It has to be this exact park or like that exact cafe, and I have to wear this exact outfit to feel good, right? Like so much of vision board like culture or conversations are about like taking so much time and energy to find like the exact thing it has to be. But there's also power in shifting to a mood board, right? So instead of this vision board approach, it's the mood board of, again, how do you want to feel? So building upon what you just did with, like what some of those ideas or aspects of your ideal day, the mood board transition there is asking like, well, how do I feel in this moment? How do I feel having a slow moment? How do I feel walking along the water? How do I feel seeing people out enjoying themselves? How do I feel at the cafe? How do I feel getting that focused time on a project I'm excited about? How do I feel socializing? How do I feel coming home and recharging and resting? Right, like what are the intended emotions and moods and vibe, so to speak, that you're desiring? Because again, that allows these other entry points on how this becomes possible, because it doesn't then have to be such a cutesy curated moment as in like at the vision board vibes. With the mood board, you're able to start to sense and receive and add more of a variety of things that are meeting that emotional need, right? And that mood, that desired embodiment experience. And over time, that again is giving you a far greater opportunity to actually experience adulting on your own terms, to experience adulting in a way that feels humane to yourself. And by setting that example to yourself and those of your caregiver in particular of, this is what it looks like to have access to choice and choices you want to make. Again, acknowledging all of the constraints and valid things that make it difficult to, but that there still is this ability to have this time together with you and your inner parents, and that, you're having this this refreshed perspective of what it is to adult and your ideal day doing so. And so that's the sort of meat of this episode, right? Because again, this is more of an applied, like, pause the episode when you need to and try it out practice. But I wanted to share that I am going to be like the mood that I'm going for, right? That's coming up for me for November is going to be Nurture November. So I'm going to be like nurturing the communities that I'm in. I'm going to be nurturing my relationships. I'm going to be nurturing my business. I'm going to be really in this place of having a clear focus and tending towards people and energies more intentionally, to just to acknowledge and refresh for myself how many different directions I've been feeling pulled. So that way I am in this process of slowing down for the end of the year, but also having a much clearer and less crowded plate for where I'm going moving forward. And so follow along with that. That will include like the continuation of this adulting on your own terms podcast series, but also across the various platforms, like having this idea of a Nurture November. And also, I'm really excited too that on November 1st that we will be starting our broader like launch or rollout for Live More with Lori, the one-to-one offering that I believe I did a teaser for, mentioned in our last episode. And so in the Live More with Lori, it's 2 weeks of one-to-one life coaching with me. And I'll help you start living your adult life how you want to live. So that way your adult life is, again, having these aspects that we just talked about, like that ideal day is just, it's one of the sneak peeks, aspects of what we'll be doing together. But also ultimately, so you get to know your full ass self, and from that place, really be curating what it feels like to be sustained in your day-to-day life, nourished, seen, like stretch the amount of stretched you want to be, and not, feeling like you're running ragged. And so if you are interested and want to be working with me for those, and it's any 2 weeks you choose, right? So this is all set for you individually. If you would like that experience, that will all be linked below. So a few days after this goes live, right, I'll update the show notes and whatnot, but I'll also be sharing more throughout Nurture November. So as always, have a razzle dazzle day, and if that's not accessible, you can put an F on front and have a frazzle dazzle day.